Hello and welcome to tutorials on React. The main purpose of React is to be fast, scalable and simple. It works only on user interfaces in applications. In computing, React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. It is maintained by Facebook and a community of individual developers and companies. React can be used as a base in the development of single-page or mobile applications. Now, to start off, what we actually need is some tools. So let's go into our browser, and here we are. You're going to go to node.js.org, and it will clarify what operating system you're on. You're going to click on this recommended for most users, whichever version it is for you, and it will just download. And then just set it up on your desktop or any folder, it doesn't matter. And then you're going to go to git-scm.com. You're just going to get the whole git pack, from which we're going to use git bash. And you're just going to click on either downloads or download here. And now, before actually doing anything else, let me just explain what these tools are for. Node.js is basically an open source cross-platform JavaScript runtime environment that executes JavaScript code server-side. And then git bash is a command language. It is a processor that typically runs in a text window where the user types commands that cause actions. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up git bash from our start. Here we are. As you see, it is actually a text window. So here we have our git bash. I've made it a little bit bigger just so you can see it better. We're going to first of all enter desktop. So I'm going to write cd, which stands for change directory, and I want to go to desktop, so I'm going to write desktop, and then we put a slash. If I press enter, I have entered desktop. Now I'm going to write the letters pwd, which stand for print working directory. We're basically checking if we're actually in desktop. And then what we're going to write is mkdir. So this basically stands for make directory. In short, this is how we write commands. And for example, let's name this new directory, so this new folder, as projects. Let's now actually enter projects. So we're going to write cd projects, like so. So something that you should know is that you need to know some JavaScript. It doesn't have to be professional level. You just need to know JavaScript for learning React, and you also need to know the simplest things from Windows command prompt. So I am actually saying what cd, mkdir, what all of those are, but you should check them out. I don't know, search them, research about Windows prompts, and just have a basic knowledge of what these mean. So all of this is basically for creating our package JSON file. So we're talking about node modules, which are types of packages that can be published to npm. Now if I hit enter, here we are. Basically what just happened was that we actually, in desktop, if we go to this folder called projects, a package JSON file was created, and we can open this with Notepad. Here it is. So as we see, we have some parameters here for our app, let's call it. So all npm packages contain a file, usually in the project root called package.json, which is what we have opened right now. So this file holds various metadata, as we see, relevant to our project, and it's used to give information to npm that allows it to identify the project as well as handle the project's dependencies. So let's not do anything else here. Let's open up a new git bash, which we can do through Alt and F2, and just write cd desktop projects, just so we're working in the same window. Now we're gonna write the command npm install. Let's also write npm install minus and a G, which basically stands for global for the whole PC or laptop, so not only for just this folder. And then after this we're going to write create dash react dash app, and then we're going to write create react app and then the name of our project, which I've named first. And this is going to take some time, so we need to wait for a little while. Alright, and here we are. It says success here. We've created our first project in our folder. And as we see, we have a suggestion here. It says we suggest that you begin by typing cd first, and then now we need to type npm start. So let's do that also. And so some other things are like this app part, the A needs to be a capital. It is from we know that these symbols basically means from this folder, and app is basically for app.js. You don't exactly have to write the JS. It's not anything important. It is set by default, so we can just leave it as app. And then this register service worker is basically for offline capabilities. That's just all you need to know for now. And for adding our component to React DOM.render, we put it in angle brackets similar to our HTML code, and then we put app here, and then document.getElementById, this root right here, and we close it. If we go ahead and open up app.js, we see the same code right in the beginning, because that is sort of essential. Right here the component method has been added, so import React and then component from React. Through import we basically get either files or libraries. So in this case we're importing the React library. So app.js, the code inside of app.js, is very important code to React. This is what we're going to be using for React. And so another thing that you should know is that in WebStorm you don't actually need to save to see your results in this localhost 3000, so in your server. And yeah, and so if right here I write a 1, immediately right here you saw that it refreshed by itself and we have edit 1. And if we look here, we have a class for app which extends component, and then we have a return, and every single return there needs to be one main div. So this is our main div right here, as we see. So the code written inside of return needs to be inside one single main div, like the parent div. Also we see right here that in the div we have class name equals app. If we go ahead and come here, if we click on inspect, and if we look at this app right here, we see that it just says class equals app. In React, as class is reserved, we have to use class name. Let's try to do some simple work right now. Let me just duplicate this. So we're going to make a new component. Let's call it app1, which will be from the app1 file. Let's make this app1 file. So on source, we right click, we click on new and JavaScript file. We're going to name it app1, and it is a JavaScript file, which means it will be .js, and we click OK. So first of all, we're going to import React, and then we're going to add in our component method from React. Now we're going to go ahead and type in a class app1, which extends. So inside of our component, we're going to put the important render, in which we're going to also have a return, and then inside we need to have an important container. In this case, let's say a p, and let's go ahead and write some text like so. Alright, let's just actually add in some real text right here. And now what's left for us to do is to add in our export and default, which is for our app1 component. Here we are. We can write anything as the component name, it just has to be a capital. And let's put this in app.js. So let's put it instead of here. And so what we do is we just put app1 and then we close it. If we look here, we have our text right here. So to sum up, what we just did was we just made a React component. And so let's say we were to change app1, the name of it, to just the word something. And let's say I was to also change it here, just so we get the right thing. If I go here, if we refresh, we see that nothing changes. So we're still getting this something from our app1. If in here we get rid of default, and let's say I was to change this something to something 1, we will get an error, so failed to compile. And let's say instead of this default, we put curly braces. So app1 and then right here we also change this back to app1. We put it in curly braces and we do the same exact thing here. App1, and if we go to our React, we see that everything is working fine. So all we did was just get rid of the default, and this is useful as, let's say we have two components. So let's name this one app2, and we put a comma here, we put app2 here as well. If I come here, we can actually get two apps. If we put export default, we cannot have two components. We need to also put our app2 here as well. And we also put it here. Capital letter, like alright, so here we are with we're sort of calling both of the apps. Now if we go to here, we have our two components in our localhost 3000. So this is just a really easy way of showing two components at once. And that was all that I had prepared for your first lesson on React.